Ladies and gentlemen, we've all had moments in life where we look in the mirror and ask ourselves, who am I? How am I? How did I get here? Maybe you've faced setbacks, lost touch with who you were, or simply found yourself drifting away from your true path. Today, I want to tell you that finding yourself again is not just possible, it's within your control. The power to rediscover who you are is already inside of you. The first step in this journey is to take full responsibility for where you are right now. That means no more blaming others or circumstances for where your life has landed. It's tough, but the moment you own it, you take back your power. The more we focus on what's outside of our control, the more we give away our strength. But when we take ownership of our decisions, our mistakes, and even our failures, we begin to see that we have the power to change our future. Next, you've got to reconnect with your core values. What do you truly stand for? What lights you up, and what is it that defines your soul? Often when we feel lost, it's because we drifted away from what we deeply value. So take time to reflect. What are the things that make you feel alive, that make you feel like yourself? Once you reconnect with those values, let them become your guide. They will point you back to your true path. Now it's time to redefine your identity. The truth is, who you were yesterday doesn't have to be who you are today. You are not your past, and you are not the sum of your mistakes. You have the ability to rewrite your story. So ask yourself, who do I want to become? What kind of person do I want to be known as? Redefine that identity based on your values, your dreams, and your vision for your life moving forward. One of the greatest challenges on this journey is breaking through the barriers that have been holding you back. Limiting beliefs are those voices in your head that tell you you can't do that or you're not good enough. Let me tell you something, those beliefs are nothing more than a lie. They are chains that have been keeping you stuck in place. The moment you identify and confront those limiting beliefs, you begin to replace them with empowering beliefs. And that shift is life-changing. To truly find yourself again, you need a target. Set massive, compelling goals that pull you toward the life you want to live. These goals should ignite a fire inside of you, give you something to strive for, something that excites you every single day. When you have a clear vision of where you're going, the journey becomes so much easier because now you know what you're fighting for. Finally, let me tell you this, take massive action daily. It's not enough to know who you are or what you want. You've got to move. Clarity comes through action, not sitting still. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the real you. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. It will never come. Start now, take action, and watch as the answers unfold along the way. So if you're feeling lost right now, I want you to remember you're not broken and you're not too far gone. The path to finding yourself again is right in front of you. Take responsibility, reconnect with your core, redefine your identity, shatter those limiting beliefs, set goals that light a fire in your soul, and most importantly, take massive action every single day. Taking full responsibility for where you are in life is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. You see, we all go through challenges, face setbacks, and encounter situations that seem out of our control. But here's the key, until you take ownership of your current circumstances, you'll always feel like life is happening to you, not for you. It's easy to point fingers, blame your past, or look to others for why things went wrong. But the truth is, as long as you hold on to those excuses, you give away your power to change. Responsibility isn't about guilt or beating yourself up for what's happened. It's about recognizing that no matter what has occurred, you have the ability to respond. You have the choice to decide how to move forward. When you truly embrace this, you take back control. No longer are you at the mercy of external circumstances. Now you're driving the car, you're in charge of your life. It's a tough pill to swallow at first because it forces you to confront the role you've played in creating your current reality. But once you accept it, you're free. Think about it, if you're constantly blaming someone or something else for where you are, you're saying that they have more control over your life than you do. And if you give away control, how can you ever change? When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You stop hoping for the perfect conditions, the right timing, or a lucky break. Instead, you start creating opportunities, you take action, and you begin making decisions that align with the future you want to create. It's not about what's happened to you, it's about how you choose to respond from this point forward. You can't change the past, but you can decide what you'll do today. That's real power. Every step you take in taking responsibility moves you closer to the life you want, because now you're in control of the outcome. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstance. You're the one who decides. And that's the beginning of transformation. When you make the shift to full responsibility, you stop being reactive to life and start becoming proactive. You stop waiting for permission to change, to grow, to become the person you're meant to be. You give yourself that permission. When you feel lost or disconnected from who you are, it's often because you've strayed from your core values. Those values deep within you are like the compass guiding your life. They define what truly matters to you, what drives your decisions, and what shapes your identity. When you reconnect with them, it's like aligning with your true north again. Everything starts to make sense. Now, here's the challenge. Life has a way of distracting us from what's really important. We get caught up in the noise, other people's expectations, the pressures of society, the demands of daily life, and slowly, we start to lose touch with what we stand for. That's when we begin to feel off course, when something feels missing, but we can't quite put our finger on it. But the truth is, it's not that you've lost yourself, it's that you've temporarily lost connection with what matters most to you. To find yourself again, you have to dig deep. Ask yourself, what are the values that drive you? What principles are non-negotiable for you? These aren't the values someone else told you to have. They're the ones that resonate with your soul. Maybe it's integrity, maybe it's growth, maybe it's contribution or love. Whatever they are, you have to bring them back to the surface. Because when you start living in alignment with your values, your decisions become clear, your purpose starts to crystallize, and you feel more like yourself than ever before. Reconnecting with your core values also requires brutal honesty. You've got to look at your life right now and ask, am I living in alignment with what I believe, or have I drifted away from the things that matter? It's easy to get swept up in the current, but once you recognize that you veered off course, you have the power to course correct. This isn't about judging yourself for where you've been. It's about getting real with yourself so you can move forward with intention. When you realign with your values, everything else starts to fall into place. Your actions, your goals, your relationships, they all begin to reflect what you truly believe in. And here's the magic: when you're living in accordance with your values, you feel more energized, more fulfilled, and more connected to the life you're meant to live. It's like a weight lifts off your shoulders because you're no longer living for someone else's definition of success or happiness, you're living for yours. This process of reconnecting with your values doesn't happen overnight. It takes reflection, it takes quiet time with yourself, and it takes courage. But once you make that commitment, you'll start to feel the shift. Your decisions will become easier, your path will become clearer, and most importantly, you'll feel a deep sense of authenticity. You'll know deep down that you're on the right track because you're being true to who you really are. Ultimately, finding yourself again starts with reconnecting to those values. They're the foundation of everything. And when you're rooted in, no matter what life throws at you, you have the clarity, strength, and resilience to keep moving forward. This is where real fulfillment begins. Redefining your identity is one of the most powerful steps you can take in life because it allows you to break free from the past and create the person you truly want to become. Too often we get stuck thinking that who we've been is who we have to be. We allow our past experiences, our mistakes, or even our successes to define us, locking ourselves into an identity that may no longer serve us. But here's the truth: your identity is not fixed, it's fluid. You have the power to reshape it at any moment. The challenge is most people don't realize this. They cling to old labels, roles, and beliefs about who they are because it feels familiar even if it's not fulfilling. Maybe you've told yourself, I'm just not good at this, or that's not the type of person I am. But who says? Those are just stories you've been telling yourself, and the beautiful thing about stories is that you can rewrite them. You don't have to be defined by who you were yesterday. You have the power to choose a new version of yourself today based on the vision of who you want to be, not the limitations of the past. The first step in redefining your identity is to let go of the labels that no longer serve you. If you've been carrying around an identity that's rooted in fear, doubt, or limitation, it's time to release it. That's not who you are. Those labels were just based on past experiences, and they don't have to dictate your future. Imagine who you would be if you weren't held back by those beliefs. That's the real you, the one that's been waiting to emerge. Next, you need to consciously decide who you want to become. This isn't about pretending or faking it. It's about aligning with the highest version of yourself. Who is that person? How do they show up in the world? What values do they live by? What actions do they take? By visualizing and stepping into that identity, you begin to shift the way you see yourself. When your self-image changes, so do your behaviors, your decisions, and ultimately your outcomes. But here's the thing: you can't just wish for a new identity, you have to live it. Every day, with every choice, you're either reinforcing the old identity or building the new one. If you want to redefine yourself, you've got to act in alignment with that new identity even before it feels comfortable. It's about consistency. It's about stepping into the identity you want, even when it's challenging, and staying committed to it until it becomes your reality. You also have to recognize that redefining your identity doesn't mean you're rejecting who you've been. It's not about abandoning your past, it's about evolving beyond it. You're taking the lessons, the wisdom, and the experiences and using them to build a stronger, more authentic version of yourself. This is about growth. It's about consciously choosing to let go of the parts of your identity that no longer align with where you're going. And here's the most exciting part: when you redefine your identity, you open yourself up to unlimited possibilities. You're no longer bound by the limitations of your past. You realize that you can become whoever you choose to be, and that gives you incredible freedom. Your identity becomes a reflection of your highest potential, not your past limitations. And that's when you start to live with purpose, clarity, and power. So remember, you are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not the person others may have told you to be. You are who you decide to become. Redefine your identity in alignment with the person you want to be, and start living as that person today. That's where transformation begins. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is one of the most liberating and transformative things you can do for yourself. These beliefs are like invisible chains that hold you back, convincing you that you're not enough, that you can't achieve your goals, or that certain dreams are beyond your reach. But here's the reality: those limitations aren't real. They're stories you've been telling yourself for years, often without even realizing it. And the moment you recognize that, you take the first step toward breaking free. The tricky part about limiting beliefs is that they often feel so deeply ingrained, so automatic, that you might not even question them. They show up as thoughts like, I'm not good at this, I don't deserve success, or that's just not possible for me. You've heard these thoughts so many times that you start to believe they're facts, but they're not. They're simply assumptions you've accepted, usually based on past experiences or what others have told you. And once you realize that, you can challenge them. To break free from limiting beliefs, you first have to become aware of them. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Start paying attention to the thoughts that come up when you're faced with a challenge or when you think about your goals. Do you immediately think of reasons why it's not possible? Do you hear a voice inside your head telling you that you're not capable? Those are your limiting beliefs at work, and once you become aware of them, you can begin to dismantle them. The next step is to question these beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is there actual evidence that I can't do this, or have I just been telling myself this story for so long that I've accepted it as truth? More often than not, you'll find that these beliefs aren't based on reality, they're based on fear, on past failures, or on the opinions of others. And here's the thing, just because you failed once doesn't mean you're destined to fail again. Just because someone else didn't believe in you doesn't mean you can't succeed. You have the power to decide what's true for you. Once you've questioned these beliefs, it's time to replace them with empowering ones. What would happen if instead of thinking I'm not good enough, you started believing I have everything I need within me to succeed? What if instead of saying I can't do this, you told yourself I can figure this out no matter what? This isn't about blind optimism, it's about shifting your focus and choosing to believe in possibilities rather than limitations. When you start to adopt new, empowering beliefs, you change the way you approach challenges. You become more resourceful, more resilient, and more committed to your goals. It's also important to remember that breaking free from limiting beliefs is an ongoing process. These beliefs didn't form overnight, and they won't disappear instantly. You'll need to challenge them every time they come up, especially when you're stepping outside your comfort zone or aiming for a big goal. But the more you do it, the more those old beliefs lose their power over you. You begin to see them for what they are, just thoughts, not facts, and you start to build a new belief system that supports your growth and potential. Here's the bottom line, your beliefs shape your reality. If you believe you're limited, you will live a limited life. But if you believe you're capable of more, you will create opportunities, take action, and achieve things you once thought were impossible. It all starts with breaking free from those limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. Challenge them, replace them, and step into the life you were meant to live, free from the stories that no longer serve you. This is how you take control of your mind, your life, and your destiny. The only limits that exist are the ones you choose to believe in. So stop believing in your limitations and start believing in your limitations. Start believing in your limitless potential. Setting massive, compelling goals is one of the most powerful ways to create lasting change in your life. You see, goals aren't just about achieving something, they're about giving your life a sense of direction, a purpose that pulls you forward. When you set big, bold goals that truly inspire you, something inside of you ignites. Suddenly you're no longer just going through the motions of life. You're driven, focused, and energized by a vision that excites you at your core. The problem most people face is that they set goals that are too small. They aim for what they think is realistic or achievable, and while that may feel safe, it doesn't push them beyond their current limitations. When your goals are too small, they don't have the power to move you. You might work toward them, but there's no fire, no passion behind your actions. And here's the thing, when you're not emotionally connected to your goals, it's easy to lose momentum. You hit obstacles, life gets in the way, and before you know it, you've given up. But when you set massive, compelling goals, everything changes. These are the kinds of goals that make you nervous, that push you out of your comfort zone. They're the goals that seem just beyond your reach, but are so exciting that you can't help but go after them. These goals stretch you, they demand more from you, and in the process, they help you become more. They force you to grow, to innovate, to tap into your full potential. And that's what life is really about, growth. When you set these kinds of goals, they become a magnet that pulls you forward. Even when things get tough, they inspire you to take action, not because you have to, but because you want to. The vision of what you're working toward is so powerful, so compelling, that it fuels you through the challenges, the setbacks, and the doubts. It keeps you moving when others would quit. Now, setting massive goals doesn't mean you throw out common sense or ignore the realities of where you are right now. It's about creating a vision so compelling that it excites you, but then backing it up with a plan that turns that vision into a reality. You need a strategy, a step-by-step process that breaks down that big, bold goal into smaller, achievable milestones. That way, each step forward reinforces your belief that it's possible. Each small victory builds momentum, and before you know it, you're moving faster and further than you ever thought possible. Another key to setting these kinds of goals is that they need to align with your deepest desires, your true purpose. If you set a goal just because it sounds good or because someone else thinks it's important, you won't have the emotional drive to follow through. But when your goal is deeply connected to your passions and values, it becomes a part of who you are. It's not just something you're chasing, it's something you're becoming. And that's why it's so important to get clear on what really matters to you. What excites you? What would make you feel alive? Those are the goals that will compel you to push through any obstacle. Massive, compelling goals also force you to see yourself in a new light. When you commit to something bigger than you've ever done before, you start to shift the way you think about yourself. You begin to realize that you are capable of so much more than you've been giving yourself credit for. You stop playing small, and you start to recognize the potential within you. And that's the power of these kinds of goals. They don't just change what you achieve, they change who you become in the process. At the end of the day, it's not about the goal itself, it's about the journey. It's about who you become as you pursue that vision. The challenges, the growth, the breakthroughs, those are the real rewards. So don't hold back. Set goals that scare you, that excite you, that push you beyond your current limits. Set goals that force you to become the best version of yourself. Because when you do, you'll not only achieve things you once thought were impossible, but you'll also live a life that is rich, meaningful, and truly extraordinary. Taking massive action daily is the key to transforming your life. It's not about wishing for change. It's about making it happen through consistent, focused effort.
too many people get stuck in the cycle of planning, dreaming, or waiting for the right moment to start.
But the truth is, action is what separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who remain in the same place year after year. When you commit to taking massive action, you're sending a message to yourself and to the universe that you're serious about your goals. You're not waiting for things to happen, you're making them happen. And here's the thing, it's not about being perfect, it's about being relentless. You don't have to know every step of the way, but you do need to take that first step and keep moving forward no matter what. The reason daily action is so critical is because success isn't built in a day, it's built day by day, moment by moment. Every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. It's about consistency. You can't take massive action once and expect your entire life to change. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, when it's hard. That's where growth happens, that's where progress is made. But what does massive action really mean? It's not just about doing more, it's about doing what moves the needle. It's about taking bold, purposeful steps that are directly aligned with your biggest goals. You can be busy all day long, but if your actions aren't connected to your vision, you're just spinning your wheels. Massive action means focusing on what matters most and going all in on it. It also means embracing discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. Massive action is going to challenge you, push you, and force you to step into new territory. You might face setbacks, failure, or criticism. But that's part of the process. If you're not feeling some level of discomfort, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. Remember, every great achievement is on the other side of fear and discomfort. That's why it's so important to commit to taking action, even when it's uncomfortable. And when you take action daily, something incredible happens and momentum builds. It's like a snowball effect. The more you do, the more energy you create. The more you move forward, the more confidence you gain. Suddenly, what seemed impossible starts to feel within reach. And as that momentum builds, you become unstoppable. You start seeing results, and those results fuel you to keep going. But none of that happens without taking that first step and then the next and the next. Massive action isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. You're going to make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. Failure is feedback, it's part of the learning process. When you take action, you're gaining real-world experience, and that experience is priceless. It teaches you what works, what doesn't, and how to adjust your approach. But none of that learning happens if you're standing still. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect time, or the perfect conditions. But let me tell you something, there's no such thing as the perfect time. The only time you have is right now, and the only way to get clarity is through action. Clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. When you start taking massive action, you'll figure things out along the way. You'll course correct, adjust, and refine your approach as you go. But the most important thing is to get started and keep moving. Taking massive action daily is about owning your power. It's about recognizing that you have the ability to create the life you want, but it's not going to happen by sitting back and waiting. You have to take control. You have to decide that you're going to go after your goals with everything you've got, and then follow through with relentless action. The truth is, you already have everything you need to create the life you desire, but it's not going to fall into your lap. You've got to show up every day and put in the work. You've got to take bold, consistent, massive action toward your goals. And when you do, nothing can stop you. That's where real transformation begins. It's not in the planning, not in the dreaming, it's in the doing. So get out there and take massive action today, and watch how your life begins to change.